World War II was a time of both military and propaganda warfare. While the world powers were fighting Hitler and his Nazis, the United States was waging a heavy battle on its citizens' support and nationalism. This battle was fought aggressively with strategies to gain support. The government even used advanced intellectuals, artists, and filmmakers to devise effective propaganda. Just as a plant needs water and sun to thrive, war needs soldiers and the support of its people. Without those things, the battle is already doomed for failure. For this reason, the United States created the Office of War Information, or OWI, whose sole purpose was to create influential propaganda. So while not a conventional weapon, propaganda was very influential and powerful.
What is a war without soldiers? As stated by director Fury in Avengers, war isn't won by sentiment, it's won by soldiers. Each type of war needs a different type of soldier. For this propaganda war, multiple types of propaganda were needed. As a result, the United States used posters, movies, cartoons, radio recordings, journalism, and even books. The most common types, however, were posters and cartoons. Posters were used because, while affordable, easily accessible, and practical, they helped to mobilize Americans to war. Movies and cartoons were useful because, even during entertainment, they kept Americans focused on the war effort. Propaganda was used to spread information and understanding, but also influence the citizens of America. One such example is Warner Bros. Cartoon The Duck. There are ducks representing Hitler, Mussolini, and Hirohito. The ducks are designed to imitate and make fun of their human counterparts. Hitler is small, white, and with his signature mustache, while Mussolini is darker and larger. Hirohito is created to look weak and nerdy almost. There is also the dove, which symbolizes peace and is representing America. While attempting to stay out of the war, the dove witnesses horrible action but turns the other cheek. However, once attacked, the dove decides to fight, much like America did after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. The cartoon uses characters and scenarios to help the citizens understand what occurred in Europe, as well as turn U.S. citizens against the enemy, doing so by skin color and character portrayal. While effective in the day, such a use now would be widely shamed on and attacked ruthlessly by American citizens.
In World War II, Americans' lives changed and propaganda became one of the most important types of communication. The American nation focused on the well-being of the country. During this time, gender roles changed, women began to work, and citizens did everything they could to save money, gas, and other valuable resources in order to aid the army. As stated in the article World War II Propaganda, the essence of propaganda consists in winning people over to an idea so sincerely, so vitally, that in the end they succumb to it utterly and can never again escape from it. This explanation of propaganda was written in a diary by Joseph Goebbels. It was a very good summary of the situation in World War II. It was a true turning point for communication. Propaganda was used to spread information about what to do and what not to do during the war. While letters were the only sources of information between family members at home and abroad, they were scrutinized heavily. A letter could consist of no more than words of comfort. They would be thrown out if containing any classified information. Because of this, no information about the war was delivered through the mail. Even with the extra protection, information was needed desperately. As a result, many brave journalists picked up the slack and attacked the war with writing. Slogans supporting writing said, "Books are weapons in the war of ideas." This could not have been more accurate. Journalism was the main source of information on the war, and therefore fueled much of the country's propaganda.
Such an example is Disney's film Education for Death. This is a piece of propaganda which explains what occurs in Germany and what could happen to the rest of the world. It's educating the public on the horrors of the war. In the film, a young boy is taken from his home to be placed in the army. He is taught that all weaklings will be destroyed and that only the strong will succeed. He becomes a machine whose only purpose is to kill. This movie was used to provide a hatred for the Nazis as well as pushing the people to support the war effort against the monsters who turned a child into a cross. This was the beginning of using propaganda for influencing the crowd, something we still use today.
Propaganda altered public opinion, as well as increased knowledge of the war by persuading the citizens to support the war. The posters improved morale both at home and across the seas by increasing nationalism and American pride. Everyday tasks became centered around how the war would be affected. Forceful propaganda was used to get messages across to all citizens about what to do. For instance, any time someone shared information about the war, they risked being arrested. The citizens were encouraged to carpool, save food, and buy war bonds. These things became the basis for a good, supportive American citizen. This influence was important because it would help secure the peace as well as encourage the citizens to support the soldiers. In an article called World War II Propaganda, it said, "The Allied forces fought long and hard against the Nazis in the air and on the ground, but also with the powerful tool of propaganda." Propaganda was a useful and very successful type of communication because of its widespread influence and easy access. It became almost as important as the manufacturing of bullets and planes. Without the support of the people, America's military would have lost the war. Similarly,